Let's go. Welcome to the main event. Applying pressure, but I promise I ain't make it then. In their heads, living free. I ain't paying rent. Wake up in the AM, making G's like Mercedes Benz. Whoa, yeah. Please don't take offense. It isn't.
Hey guys, it's Cockriser the Show, episode 1, season 5. As you guys know, I am Monique, and this is my husband, Jamie. And we are going to talk about things that he doesn't know what I'm talking about, and I don't know what he's going to talk about. So we're going to start off with, you know what? We're going to start off with you today again. So you go ahead and
Why are you taking the easy way out?
Well, I don't know if you're ready for what I want to talk about.
Probably I'm not, but we'll go there. So it's interesting because what's been happening in the world today, and people say they miss certain things. They miss certain things that happened in America, and a lot of that is how far we swung to the left and everybody being all woke. And there's nothing. I mean, I don't. Woke means you're so far to the left, I guess, and you should be considerate. I think there's a line of consideration, and then woke got to a line of craziness, and people got so fed up with it, just like they got so fed up with conservatism and things that came with that. Then that's when the woke thing and the Me Too and all that other stuff, and it went too far. However, it was interesting because I was listening to somebody the other day, and they were like, "What President Obama meant to us," and it wasn't about necessarily black or white. It was about not seeing race. It was about getting past the shackles of racism that were on the United States. And you could at least say on both sides, you could say we were moving past that. On the side, if you were conservative, you could say, see, being black is not a disadvantage. Great. And you could say on the other side, see, I see somebody who looks like me in this, and we can get past this. And there was a certain civility about everything and how it made people feel, the entire country, how it made them feel about we can progress and try to finally move our interesting history in the past. And then there was backlash because there was you saw how much it hurt a certain part of the population to see somebody that didn't look like them become the most powerful person in the world, and what it meant to get that back to somebody that looks like them, even if they didn't necessarily agree. And that was probably Hillary's, amongst many things. I mean, Hillary made some mistakes. Do I think she was the most qualified person to be president in the last? I think Hillary was the most qualified person to be president in the last 20 years, let alone that election. And still, maybe only Joe in his qualifications, not his age, but his qualifications, I shouldn't say his age, not his physical condition, was probably as or even more qualified because he had been in Congress for so long and walked both sides of the aisle. The rest of the world looked at us with esteem. I mean, now we're down to like the 11th or 12th most wanted or most valuable passport. We've never been that low. It's never been an issue, but the world looked at us with esteem. And if that was the esteem of, hey, America is what they say they are. You can be whatever you want to be, and you can grow up and be whatever you want to be. But we're seeing, and I don't understand the backlash of that. But now it's like we're going backwards.
Absolutely.
Backwards.
Yeah, I remember making my children sit down and watch President Obama become president and just being in awe and just, just so excited to be able to witness and share that with my children, letting them know that it doesn't matter the color of your skin, that you can be whatever it is that you choose to be. I know that for me, President Obama was definitely, I was so excited for him to be the president. And it's so crazy because I met this woman, Rita, and we were in school together. And she was reading his book and she says, he will be the next president. And I was like, wow, like, really? Like, she read this book. She's like, Monique, I'm telling you, he will be the president. And when he became the president, I was like, how did you know that? Well, she knew that because she believed in him. She read his book. She understood what he stood for. And it was one of those things that I look back and I was in doubt because I was like, the American people, I didn't think that they would vote for a Black president because of the racism in the world today. So for that reason, it just made me very skeptical. Like, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but when it did, I was in awe for it. However, not however, I I think that what we're going through now today and moving backwards in racism, and it's just one of those things that makes me pause for a second and question what is going on with America? How are they letting this happen? Why? If you have
Well,
such greatness, no. The thing is,
it was laid out. I mean, unfortunately, as I said at the beginning, we went from a person who was a centrist and a moderate at heart, who tried to work both sides of the aisle, even though he had, at most of the time, he had Congress against him. Could do a lot of things, but the eloquency of it, there was a certain demeanor of, like I said, civility and exquisiteness that was shown from a person, and such, and let me not forget intelligence, such a highly intelligent person, that a lot of things that Obama did just kind of went through. And he did a lot of great things, but now you just like every president, you're going to look back and go, you know what? I didn't know how great this was. But then again, well, wait a minute. His immigration policy, in this time right now, in the same amount of time, it was tougher than Trump's. He just did it a different way, and we didn't see it as much. And Trump's just more, strong-fisted. And I think he has, ingratiated himself to that side of America, that there is that side. And we've always been a strong country. And we've always been, hey, this is the way it is because this is the way it is in America. And we believe that this democracy should be proliferated throughout the Eastern world as well as the Western world. So, but when Joe came in, and then the wokeness came in, and then Democrats came in and really didn't have a message that resonated with those who were struggling out there, the middle class and the lower class. They left that space open for Republicans to come in and sound like they were the level-headed, reasonable people who could move the middle America where they wanted to go, because the right and the left were already so segmented that they were, they had their heels dug in. They weren't moving anywhere. Republicans were smart because they resonated with the middle of the country, and the middle of the country often feels left outside of the conversation. It's interesting. I'm listening to sports radio, of all things, sports radio this morning, and they were talking about fandom. And one of the interesting things about fandom is, like, the guy was talking about, if you live on the East Coast and then he works in LA and California, and then he's from the Midwest. He was from Ohio.
Okay.
And he was talking about how when you're there, those teams are what you latch on to, and like they're so prideful in their fandom because they feel like that represents them. So if you go, and they were talking about the Cincinnati Bengals and the things they're going through with some of the contracting, and they're cheap usually, and that's why they don't really pay their players, and they complain all that stuff. But if you talk about them, it's like we talked about the last podcast, don't talk about my family. I can talk about them, but you can't talk about them. And often, and just talking about the fandom, and often those fans feel like they're left out because they're not the New Yorks. They're not the Bostons. They're not the LAs. They're not the Floridas, and they get isolated, but then that gives them even more strength in how they feel. And it's kind of like that in society, right? It's like we think the country goes in these trends that are on the East Coast or on the West Coast. And like they say, they always talk about middle America. They're from the Midwest, you're grounded. And I lived in Chicago for 10 years. Very nice people. Not any nicer than people in New York. I lived in Florida for a long time. Not any nicer than people down there. I haven't lived on the West Coast, but I worked on the West Coast for many years at a company that I would go to every month for a week. For 5.5 years. And those people are lovely too. So it's interesting because it's what the media kind of portrays and what we latch onto. And a lot of it comes from entertainment. A lot of it comes from news. A lot of it comes from sports. And we form these opinions, and then those can take flight. And I think that's what happened in alluding to your question. How did this happen? Well, when you have the power, or where you have the majority, you have you can own the narrative. Democrats didn't own the narrative. Republicans did.
So I'm going to use a little story today, and it has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do about. It's based on, and is it me judging and saying this little boy was racist because of his family? This little boy, I'm at the park today with my grandson, and there's a little boy, and my grandson Sebastian is running after this little boy, and the little boy is like, "Stop following me! I don't want to play with you." And it took everything from me not to want to go at that little boy. And then mom is looking and she's not saying anything. I'm like, wow. I said, you know what, Sebastian? We don't play with little boys that are not nice. Let's go. We'll find somebody else who's nice. Then I run into this other lady, and her little girl was red-haired little girl, blue eyes, and Sebastian's running after her. And I just automatically got the impression that this little girl didn't want to play with Sebastian. The mom says, oh no, we play with all little kids, right? And she said the little girl's name. And she's like, let's play hide and seek. And she says, his name is Sebastian. And I said, yes. And she says, okay, you're going to play hide and seek with Sebastian. Her 2 children played with Sebastian. But to me, it was like this little boy, because after Sebastian stopped running after him, he decided to play with all the little white little boys, but didn't want to play with Sebastian. So to me as a parent, I think it was so important that mom was like, no, you play with this little boy too. You know, what, did he see the color? Does he hear his family talk about it? But it was very upsetting to me, but it was also very relieving to me that the other woman was like, no, my kids play with all kids. And I was just like, she didn't say like all kids, like, oh, because he's black that they're going to play with them. But it was definitely something that I noticed in the park, that there was some the kids there that were not white, and you could see all the colored kids playing together, and then all the white kids playing together. So, and we live in an area where it's what, 1% black.
Well, maybe 1.5.
Okay, 1.5%. But I do sometimes feel like, you see, and again, we don't care. You believe in what you want, you do what you want, and all those things. But I do believe that people are just in a different state of mind right now, where they're just so comfortable with expressing that, no, I don't want to be around a black person, or I don't want.
I'm not saying that's right. All I'm saying is it's America.
It is.
And you have the choice to be around who you want to be. Now, do I think it's a shame that parent didn't do what the other parent did? Yes. And that's how these norms start to build themselves in children's minds, and then they don't get corrected, and then they think it's normal. And
Right.
that parent, is probably at the crux of it. But maybe she was having a bad day.
She wasn't.
Maybe she didn't feel like telling her kid that she's always telling him to do that. Or maybe she just felt like, hey, let him do what he wants to do. If he wants to play with little Sebastian, that he does, or if he doesn't. It's kind of hard. And maybe I'm taking the high road a little bit, but it's kind of,
Again,
Sebastian runs after everybody.
he doesn't. And guess what? And who cares if he does? The problem is that parents need to teach their children.
Yes, I agree.
That it doesn't matter the color of the skin. You know what? Be kind.
Now that is where I would agree with you.
He was so nasty
I think
on more than one occasion.
No, but I think that's the thing. The little boy wasn't kind. And why wasn't he kind? Well, yeah, that'll go back to the parents. Now, was he kind because Sebastian had on a hoodie, or because the color of the hoodie was brown or black or blue? We don't know. You don't know that. We're making the assumption, but but the fact is, the little boy wasn't kind, and that kindness is what it's a prelude to civility. That's a prelude to being able to collaborate and be around people and be amongst people that don't look like you, talk like you, sound like you, and makes you a considerate person. So unfortunately, the foundation isn't being set for that little child.
Right. So for all that, that they do not know, that I am a white person, Caucasian, 98.
Why wouldn't anybody know that?
Because you already know. So I grew up where my mother was racist because her mother was racist. And then when she had grandchildren, everything came to the light. However, it's crazy because I knew that she was this way, but I always looked at people as the same. It was never because of the color of their skin that So I guess I was taught to be kind, which I wasn't growing up. I wasn't kind, but that was because of my own insecurities and my own things I was going through in my own life. But I feel like I was kind. And if I was mean to the white kids, I was mean to the black kids, I was mean to the Spanish kids or whatever. The thing is that I didn't say, oh, I'm going to be mean to you because you're black, or I don't like the color of your skin. That's the reason why I'm being mean to you. I think it's important that parents teach their kids just to be kind. Be kind. Because guess what? When you can be kind.
Well, you had you were fortunate that one of your parents
Okay.
wasn't like
Fair.
that. And that if both were like
Yeah,
that, then you probably wouldn't be like this.
You're absolutely right. 'Cause
All right.
my father was definitely
Right.
like for everyone.
So that probably was it
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
you're absolutely-
and not to, we talk about race sometimes, not to belabor the point. It just
It's a part of life.
it's a part of life. It's
Yeah.
a part of the podcast because I just happen to be black and she happens to be white. So we have our different experiences we talk about. But you know what else is happening?
What?
Women are cheating more now ever than they have before. In women, in adult women, is up 40% over the last 10 years. 40%.
I could give some feedback on that.
Well, I mean, I read an article and I was like, I can believe that. I think there's a lot of things to that. I think that women have become more and more independent. They've become, they're traditional, let's call them. Traditional. I'll just say their traditional things that a man and a woman do has kind of, everything is moved to the middle because women are working more. Women are supporting the family more. Women are providing more, and that's a great thing. But then when you start to do that, you start to unfortunately, you may take up some of the traits that go with that because you feel like, all right, I'm doing all this, but I'm still not fulfilled. Mm-hmm. Which men were feeling the same way too. Not that these are any excuses. I'm just telling you what I'm reading and what the article said. But it was interesting because this one woman was speaking about how she didn't feel bad about it because she felt like she was fulfilling what she wanted to do and she deserved that. And I was like, okay, I mean,
what was she fulfilling though? The sexual part, the emotional part?
Yes.
What? Yes.
Yes.
What? Yes.
The answer to your question is yes.
Okay. Yes to what? Both though? She was
both. And this is heterosexual women. I'm not talking about homosexual women or bisexual women. I'm talking about heterosexual women and have increased steadily. And I was wrong. It's not over the last 10 years. It's actually over the last 30 years.
Okay.
A 40% jump in women having affairs. And it's because everything that was the general theme is everything that was why can't I talk today? Missing? Why do I say missing? Everything that was missing. Thank you. I was like, missing? I couldn't get out of a missing. What's that? Like I had something in my mouth. Missing with themselves. It had nothing to do with their partner.
Was missing with themselves.
Right.
Okay.
It's something that was missing. And it wasn't that, and they said, many stated, it's not that I'm not in love with my partner. And that's what men would always say. It's not that I'm not in love with my wife. I just needed something else. So women are saying, I need something else to fulfill myself from within. And you dirty minds out there, I'm not talking about that, even though that's part of it.
So the crazy part is that you mentioned this because this was something that I wanted to discuss as well. Why is it when a woman cheats, the first thing that a man says is, did you have sex with him?
Well, that's the first thing that a woman says too.
No.
It is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Her question is, are you in love with her?
All right, look.
It's emotional.
My experience, and I didn't cheat, but my experience when I was in a relationship and this woman thought I cheated on her, her first question to me was, it wasn't, are you not in love with me? It was, did you have sex with them?
You know what? I'm going to tell you this.
That's just my experience.
I say men have sex for sex. It's just that, right? Women are so much more emotional.
Yes, we know.
So again, a man is going to have sex and be like, oh, a man is going to have sex and he's just going to have sex, right? That doesn't mean he's in love with her.
That's not what the data is saying. The data is saying that women are feeling the exact same way that men feel when they say in these infidelity relationships.
Oh,
It's
well,
not,
that's
they said it's
well,
not that
that
they're not in love with them. They said it's something to fulfill within themselves. They're
that's
missing
because
something within themselves.
and this
And it had nothing to do. It had nothing to do with the other person. So this is them wanting to get either. Oh, and the other thing was, they said the other phenomena is that their sex life
Mhm.
at home was getting better. Like the lady was talking about, yeah, we would have sex more. And the other one was like, yeah, we would have sex more. And the men would never catch on to why. That they would want to have, that they would be more amorous and want to have more sex. It's because they were having more sex already with an affair, but then they would come home and even be more sexual.
I mean, again, I never had an affair,
Right.
so I can't speak about it.
I'm just telling you what the data says.
I mean, yeah, I understand what the data says, but I just feel like relationships, I think that if you're not fulfilling emotionally and physically, intimacy, all those things are so important. And the thing
They
is that
are.
if you're not getting fulfilled, if you're not, so if you're thinking about it, is that cheating? Is that cheating if you're like, you know what, I need more. Or do you discuss it with your partner in a way that they might say, what do you mean you need more?
So
Like,
the men that the men that they say they're cheating with, there's like this common thread that they'll come and say, hey, it's not that I'm not in love with my wife. But then again, I don't want to cheat, but I want to have a relationship with you. I don't want you sleeping with somebody else, just sleeping with me. And I'm like, nah,
hold on. He wants to cheat. He doesn't want his wife to.
Supposedly the conversations, this woman was like, look, the conversations I'm having with these men who have approached me and I'm in an affair with, they act like they don't want to cheat. They don't want to have like sleeping around. They just want to be with one person. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably more for STDs than anything. But so you can kind of know, so you can kind of control. But anyway, that's what the women are saying. That's not what the men are saying. So this is from a woman's perspective, this data that I was reading from.
Well, it's crazy because I know people that have had affairs, and the person that's having the affair, just say, for instance, I'm the one that's having the affair and I'm seeing this guy outside of my marriage. And he's like, I don't want to see anybody else. I don't want to see you. And I don't want you to see anybody else either. And I'm like, well, I'm married. So how is it I'm not going to see anybody else? I had clients and I was just like, or she was sleeping with a married man, but she said that he was cheating on her when he slept with his wife. I said, I'm sorry, sis. You didn't just say that to me. How is he cheating on you when he went back to his wife? That's his wife.
He had good game then. Yeah, good game. Yeah, he had a good.
When
he had a good mind
like,
fuck. If that was.
Am I the only one that is like oblivious to this? Like, this dude is sleeping. Are you seriously that oblivious to that he's just blowing smoke up your ass, that it's just about you, and then he gets caught that he's sleeping with his wife and his wife is coming at you and you're going at her like he cheated on you with his wife?
So this is what they said.
What?
I'm reading it. I'm reading it right off the press. Women are cheating on men more. Women say it's the feeling of being wanted, not relied upon. Wanted. He looked at me with hunger instead of expectation.
I love it.
Really? You love the reason why she's cheating?
I mean,
you love the reason.
I love that she said
you're a proponent of cheating.
I didn't say that. I've never cheated in my life.
You said you love the way.
I love how she put that, because I think that men need to realize, and guess what? Women as well, men and women. I think that
I need to pour a drink off of that one. What are we?
I'm sorry, I love it.
What are we drinking?
I don't know, but it's great.
Franciscan the Magnificent, Napa Valley, 2017.
Wow.
Very good vineyard, very good wine.
Jamie.
I know.
It's really good.
I know.
But getting back to that, the reason why I love it is because I feel like, again, we'll talk about women, and we talk about this before in our podcast. We wear so many hats. You know what? I can say to you that I go to work every day, multiple times a day. When he says we're starting another business or we're starting something else, I'm like, let's go, right? He will say, I'm there, I'm on it. But the thing is like, you work, you take care of the house, you take care of your husband, you take care of the home. did I say house? The thing is like you always, each partner, we want to be desired, right? If you're not desiring me, I need to be desired. I need to be wanted. I need to be, what is
Okay.
my love language?
All right. So,
If her love language is not being met,
but that's a cop out.
it's not being a
This
cop out.
comment is a cop out.
It's a,
You know why it's a cop out? You
What?
could feel that way, but you're saying that's the reason. So what have you done to mitigate that before you go this way?
well, I don't know what she's done.
Well, I didn't say you did. I'm telling you that that's what the statement is. You're going off the statement as it is with no context. I'm going off the statement as it is with no context. And I'm saying that statement without context could look like you say, or it could look like I'm saying, like, well, that's kind of a cop out because what are you doing before that when you got to that point? Is it year 2? Is it year 15? Is it year 20? Are you feeling yourself because you feel like you're in a better place in your life? And part of the other comments was with the comments that we always give when somebody cheats is, what's the famous one? What's the number one people say when they're in a relationship for a long time and they go and they stray off? What do they say?
I don't fucking need you anymore.
Well, no, not quite that. They go, we just grew apart. We grew apart. And growing apart is just as easy or hard as growing together. Both of them take effort. It takes effort to grow apart.
It does.
So that's the thing. It's like
it does.
But I'll go back to, I'm not going back, but I talked about this before. It's like there's so many more distractions today than there were 15 years ago or 10 years ago, hell, than 5 years ago. So like if you're in a relationship, you do have to make a concerted effort to do things together, whether they're doing things together, be in the same space or whatever, because it takes a concerted effort. Because inevitably, the more you stay with somebody, the more they're going to get on your nerves, the more you're going to see things that you don't like, or you just go, oh, this is here. And you're like, it's been there, but you just talk about it more, or you bring it up. But there'll be just as many things that you go, all right, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not any less in love with them. It's just part of them. So it's always funny when they say, love, people go, love me for me. I'm like, well, I can't love you for you in day 1. I can't love you for you in year 2. I'm still finding out about you to love all the stuff that I didn't know about 2 or 3 years ago or 5 days ago. So it's that love me for me thing is we're growing together. It's like love me for finding out more about me. That's it. And that can happen.
I agree with you, because I think that, when they say the honeymoon stage, I think that you're all googly eyes and you're like, oh, this is the person for me and this and this and that, and not realizing what that person, what their downfalls are, what their highs and lows are, what their expectations of you are. I think that is so important. And those are the things that I know that I have learned, and I'm still learning being married to him, that, what he expects from me. And, it's crazy because, and I'll give a little example. There is something that I crave and I need. What is it, Jamie?
Huh?
What is it?
Huh?
What is it?
I don't know.
You really don't know. What do I say?
Oh, let me guess. Oh, could it be hugs?
I love a good hug. I love a good hug. And when we first met, I'm like, I don't know. Like, he's not like a really like, he's not, like this hugger that I'm like, and then I'm like, I don't know if I ever really needed that before, but I feel like with him, I love when he embraces me. I love when he holds me. I just love that, and I need that from him. It's almost like this new love language that I need. And he's trying. And the thing is, I say to myself, okay, is this hug, is his...
Then we got to get into the quality. Every hug's got to be rated. See, that's when it gets a bit much. I go through with it. But you got to hug a certain way, and you can't just hug.
Well, no,
it's got
that's
to
not
feel
fair.
a certain way.
Well,
and I'm
that's
like,
not fair, because you
okay.
won't let me hug you with my arms around your neck because you don't like anything around your neck. So I prefer to hug up.
No, you prefer to hug up and pull, and I don't like things pulling. I don't like things pulling on my neck and pulling me down. I don't.
And that's okay. And guess what? I have learned to accept it. And I said, you know what?
I don't like necklaces. No. I don't like collar. It's
and you know what? And I've learned to say, you know what? This is what he doesn't like. And I'm okay with that.
I don't know why. I just don't.
Yeah. And I always said, like, what happened?
I don't know.
Because I don't like to be there. I don't like to be held down. Like, I don't like even playing or joking around. Like, I don't like to be where I am not in control because it will make me freak out. Like, it would just, and him and I have gotten to definitely like playing around and tussling. I'm sure we have had moments where we are just acting the hell up on vacation, tussling at each other, like just acting up, having a great time. All love and fairness, okay? But I love hugs. They are so important to me that can start my day to make me just be a happier person. So if he says to me, your energy is off, well, where the hell was my hug at? Because guess what? If I didn't get the
now
hug,
you're going to blame
if I didn't get
your
the hug,
energy
if I
on
didn't get
a
the
hug.
yes,
See, and
energy.
that's wrong.
And no, it's not.
That's wrong.
It's I need a hug.
You got to own your
I
own.
need
You
to feel
got to
loved
own. You got to
by
own your
my
own.
husband.
You got to own your own energy when you walk in the room.
If I walk in the room and you're like, oh, that's
You got to
let's
own
not-
your own energy.
let's-
It can go both ways.
well, you can.
It
It's
can
okay.
go-
I'm
but
here.
I-
I'm here for it.
No,
I'm here
No,
for
you're
it.
not. No,
Yes,
you're not.
I am.
No, you're not. No, you're
With
not.
all that being said, his hugs have gotten better over the last 8 years. He definitely tries. I see an effort in his hugs, but let's talk about love languages. You know, like some people have love languages and their partners ignore them.
Okay. Why are you looking?
I'm
Why'd
just
you-
saying.
Why'd you stop talking?
I'm not. I'm just saying. Love languages. There's words of affirmation. There is, what is it? What is yours? Yours is
Acts of service.
acts of service.
Acts of service.
He's never told me that. But hold
Yes,
on,
I
guys.
have. Yes,
No.
I have. And just because you think it's an act of service does not mean it's an act of service. It's an act of service that I want, just like a hug. I may give you a hug, but you may not think that's not much of a hug. But to me, that's a hug. So you can't.
So what's
You
your
can't.
act of service?
You can't. I'm not going to get into details about
Why?
acts.
Just one example.
No, I get into details about acts
What's
of service.
one? Just one.
Hmm?
What's an act of service?
Acts of service is, to me, is not having. It's like taking care of things that need to be taken care of and not waiting for me to do it.
Okay.
That to me is
That's
like
acts of service.
that's because you're doing something that's taking something off of my plate that you can do. You know I'll do it, but if you see it, do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just my acts of service are little things. They're not big things. I don't, it's not like I need flowers or buy me a car or do all. It's like I'm not the type.
That's
I'm not
gifts.
the person. It's still an act of service to buy the gift. So it's not. I'm not. You don't have to. I don't want anybody pandering after me. I don't need anybody cooking me dinner every night. If it happens, these things are fine. But that's not what I'm looking for. It's more of the small, considerate acts of service to me. It's consideration is a big thing.
Wow.
So-
So consideration is okay. I'm so glad we're having this conversation because it's
I've said
oblivious to
these
me.
things before. So if you're going to act like you've never heard them,
No, because you're saying acts of service. No, I never got access. You said to be considerate.
well, being
Then-
considerate is an act of service.
Is it?
It is. Anytime you're considerate, you're giving an act of service because you're being considerate to somebody, and that takes something for you to do, for something you to express.
Okay. I'm gonna just shut down for a second and just take all this in
For what?
because I'm just like
It is nothing.
back.
It's nothing
I
new.
felt-
It's nothing new. I've said it before. You may
I'm
not
just
have
like, okay,
realized it.
well, I'll just make sure that my acts of service are the little things. So you know what? I think for me, I am the
You don't-
type of person that I'm just like constantly like just catering and just like, okay, let me get this for you. Let me do this for you. I'm like almost like service on hand and foot. And so
And?
for me,
And what happens
when you
do
say
that?
to
And what happens when you do that?
what happens when I do
Yeah, what happens? What do
You
I
asked
say
me to
when you
go
do
get
that?
something
No,
else.
no, I don't. What happens most of the time you do that? And I go, you don't have to do that. I'm fine. It's like that doesn't do anything for me. It's great
I'm
that it
glad
happens.
that it doesn't.
It's great that it happens. There's a difference between it's great that it happens or is it something that I'm desiring and need?
Okay, well, I'm
And
glad.
those are two different things.
Okay.
right?
Well, I'm glad that we're having.
It's just like if I'll use hugging again.
Uh-huh.
It's like if I hugged you every single day, every time I saw you after, and just hugged you and gave you a bear hug, you'd be like, all right, I don't need the bear hugs. I want a hug like this. That's it.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Oh, okay.
So
Sounds
it's just how you prefer, and everybody's like this, how you prefer to give. I'm not going to push away or not take pampering, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking for it. I'm not
Yeah.
asking for it. If that's what you want to do because that's your way of expressing love in that way, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just like my way of expressing love could be providing or making sure certain things happen or taking care of things that need to be taken care of. Because in every relationship, of course, each partner has their like things that they do. But that might not be your thing. You might be like, all right, that's cool, Jamie, but I need hugs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is. So
All right.
coming up with a new section of the podcast, and it's called Stupid Shit. So every week I'm going to talk about what I think is some stupid shit. And this week, and actually started probably a couple weeks ago, but it came to a height, I think, last week, was Sydney Sweeney's jeans commercials.
Mm-hmm.
I have good jeans. Who cares? I didn't think anything about that. And when I started to hear people go, oh, she's saying her jeans because they're white jeans. I'm like, huh? Where'd that come from? She didn't say Genes. She said Jeans, and she got on, I don't even know if it's Levi's or Gap.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't even know what it is.
But I remember.
She looks good in the jeans. They got a breast out. If you're, okay, we're selling some sex. I get it.
I remember.
And then Beyonce came out with her jeans, and I'm like, it doesn't need to be a competition. Beyonce came out with Blonde. I know, and then everybody, it's like, but he talked about it because the woke crowd was like, oh, this is offensive. I'm like, how? And see, this is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But see, that's why you get the people on the playground. That's why they get there, because there's too much of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, really? And now I get it. It's interesting because the interesting thing about the younger generation is they're like not tolerant at all of any type of exclusion. They're all about inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as they even think, they go off and they protest. Sometimes it's not down the avenue that they should, but they're so anti-segregation,
Mm-hmm.
which is great.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But yet it can be directed in a much better way. And I think that this is a perfect example of like, this woman's just out here making money. This is the same woman who had an ad selling her bath water in perfume, I think, or some type of beauty product. And it was literally, they were just putting drops of water in there saying it was. It was more of a truly ad campaign,
right.
Promotion, right? Having fun and making fun of herself, but making money. And this is no different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a certain bit of course, there's a certain bit of cheekiness to it, but it wasn't cheekiness like I have superior genes as a race over you.
Right.
I mean, people were acting like she was saying she was part of the Aryan race or something. I was like, oh no, this is why we can't get rid of this stuff, because you can't be so far to the left that you think that. It was just like stupidity. And then you give people who will try to, I'm not even going to say Trump, because he's the master at getting attention and distracting. He's brilliant at it. But it gives people like that an opportunity to really put it in that space where it doesn't need to be. And it was just a simple ad. It did what it needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
It got people talking. And at the end of the day, all they did on the woke side is make an ad that most people probably wouldn't even have seen or paid attention to. Now everybody looked at it. So now you just gave that company with that ad so much publicity that they weren't going to get for free,
mm-hmm.
and made her even more money. Good for her.
Yeah.
Because I think it's sad what they tried to say about her ad. And then I think it's Gap jumped on it with some Beyonce stuff, which I thought was smart too. I'm not hating there when people make money, but it's just the stupid narrative that people came up with, and it's still out there. That's stupid shit to me. We're at the end of our podcast. Again, season 1, episode 5. 16 more to go before we're considered to be an official full podcast that can actually make it. So we'll get there. We'll come back. We'll see you again.
Holla, holla. Listen to me now.